Hey guys, it's JW. As I mentioned in a previous video about driving from one school to the other, I used to see quite a few political signs this time of year, especially during a presidential year. And I mentioned in a past video that I hadn't seen a lot of them. And my feeling was that this is a very liberal town I live in, and my feeling is when I don't see a lot of support for the liberal candidate, it makes me think that they're not crazy about the candidate. They'll vote for them, but they're not excited about them, and because they're not excited about them, they won't put the signs in their front yard or the signs on their cars. I've seen very, very few, even around, again, this very liberal town I live in. And I think I mentioned that on my drive over the other day, I saw 2 Harris signs, and I saw 1 Trump sign. And then I saw, like, in another area close to the school, I saw another maybe 3 Harris signs. So it was like 4-1 Harris. And today I noticed that on the way over here, 2 of the Harris signs had been taken down. And the Trump sign had been expanded. Now, my feeling is this, okay? This is what I refer to as my Sign-Tific study in politics. Sign-Tific study. And my feeling is that the only reason someone would take down a sign, in my opinion, because again, I keep saying this is a very liberal Democrat city, okay? And so I believe the people who took the signs down, this is my feeling only, my Sign-Tific study, they believe that the election is lost. They're watching, even the left-wing channels are reporting that it looks like Trump is going to win this election pretty easily. I don't know. To be honest with you, if I had to make a choice, I really don't like any of Harris's policies. I think Trump is funny. I think he's more of a comedian than anything else, and I do get a kick out of him. And I think he'll be better for the economy, and hopefully, the last time he was in office, he didn't get us in any wars. I'd like to get out of all those wars, and so, you know, if I had to vote, I'd vote for him. But the election, I'll be honest with you, the election, the mail-in ballots came to my house the other day, and my wife said, "Are you going to vote? Are you going to get out in person, or are you going to mail it in?" And I said, I'm not voting in a national election this year. I'm only going to vote in local elections from here on out. And so I said, I could see her eyes like a little sad because she likes Trump, and she's very conservative. And so I said, if you want to fill mine out and send it in, feel free. I know she's not going to fill me in with the person I would never vote for. So I said, fine, just if you want to send it in, sign my name, that's great. I don't care. But I'm not going to. So anyway, I don't know whether she did or not. I didn't ask. But yeah, so this is my Sign-Tific poll, as I said. The Trump sign went from being 1 small sign to 3 small signs on the lawn in a gigantic Trump sign across the entrance to the man's house. Now, as I also mentioned in a previous video, it takes a little bit of courage to put up a Trump sign in my town. There have been known incidents of vandalism, let's say. Dog poop being thrown at the sign, and signs being torn and stolen, and, you know, even a little spray paint on the tree. They didn't spray paint anyone's house. The town I live in isn't real radical, but it's very liberal. So I could see where someone walking their dog would think, instead of taking my poop bag, instead of taking my poop bag home, I'll just throw it on this Trump sign. So, I mean, the whole thing is so juvenile and childish that, when I was younger, I keep referring to when I was younger because I'm old. I'm older than most of you, so I'm guessing anyway, unless I have a bunch of real old people watching my channel. I don't know. I hope I do. I'll take young and old and in between them. That's fine with me. And, things were different back then. People voted pretty much for who they wanted, and they did it kind of in a private way. There used to be a saying, when someone would ask you who you were voting for, you would say something like, I'll determine that in the privacy of the voting booth. In other words, I don't need to tell you who I'm voting for because it's not going to do me any good. Even if you're voting for the same person I am, so what? We agree. And if you're not, it might cause animosity. Why risk it? So I think that's a good way to be because it inevitably causes friction. We read those stories after the 2016 election when Trump was president. We read those stories about people, relatives and friends gathering for the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and there was some real animosity to the point of ruining lifelong friendships and disowning family members. I mean, my God, why would you ever do that over a political election? I mean, it's just not that important in the big picture, and I mean that when I say I believe the presidents are just puppets. I don't think they run anything. I mean, do you honestly believe this theory of the nuclear button? I mean, come on. Do you honestly believe that Joe Biden has access to some button that could send nuclear weapons over to Russia and China? Come on. I know people on my channel are much smarter than that. I know you are. I don't even have to ask. I know you are. And, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I have this scenario in my head where Biden gets up in the middle of the night, decides to go to the Oval Office, maybe I don't know why. He might want to just sit down and reflect or whatever. And, and he has one of his moments. He might trip or, just not being totally, coherent, let's say. And, can you imagine the button? Wherever, was it next to the desk? Or, this secret button. They've been telling me this my whole life. Even as a kid, I'm talking when I was 12 years old, I didn't believe that. I didn't believe that there was a button. I'm sure there are, there's a room somewhere with, I guess there is a room somewhere with military personnel who man that room. And, they do have access to the missiles, and I'm sure they're required to wait for the word from the Oval Office before they fire them off. At least I hope so. I mean, I've witnessed in my experience in government and just doing business with government. Just by that I mean going to City Hall to get a copy of your birth certificate, or maybe when you were looking up the deed on your house at the City Hall. I've witnessed some real incompetence. I mean, real incompetence by government workers. The post office. At the same time, I've met some really nice people in both locations. Really nice, smart, intelligent people. But I've witnessed a lot of incompetence. And so the government, in my opinion, has never really brought in the best and brightest. And that includes the presidents of the United States. I don't believe I would never call them the best and the brightest, okay? I'm sure there are better and brighter people than both Trump and Harris. I'm sure there were better and brighter people than Kennedy and Nixon and all the rest, from Reagan, and I don't even remember who he ran against. Who did he run against anyway? I'm usually pretty good at political elections. Oh, I know who he ran against. He had this, I remember when he did the debate. What was his name? He he was the vice president to Jimmy Carter. Yeah, to Jimmy Carter. No, Jimmy Carter ran against Reagan. So the guy who ran the second time against Reagan was, oh, damn. I remember Reagan made the joke that the guy said something about, referred to Reagan's age. He was in his 70s, late 70s at the time. And he referred to his age as, maybe he was too old to do the job. And Reagan shot back, I will not hold my opponent's youth and inexperience against him. Now, his opponent was like 70. He wasn't a young guy, but it was a pretty good line by Reagan, and probably clinched him in the election. I think he would have won anyway, but I wish I could. Mondale. Yeah, Fritz Mondale. And Mondale was a good sport about it, too. He smiled and laughed at like everyone else, Again, that was back when there was some civility in politics. They were the candidates are always trying to win, and they've always pulled off dirty tricks to win an election, but there was some sense of civility involved back then, and that was good. I mean, I think when you're debating, all bets are off. The debate is not supposed to be a complimentary session. It's supposed to be pointing out the other person's flaws, pointing out your strong points and their weak points. So I have no problem when two people are debating if they get a little down in the dirt, but not to the point of disparaging someone's reputation or, bringing family members into it. I don't buy any of that. So, anyway, oh, wow, this woman she's trying to get her leaves up, and I'm a little concerned with her because she's having problems. She got stuck in a rut, and she's got this old, looks like a lawnmower with a leaf attachment to it, and it looks like it's in pretty bad shape, and she's bending down and pushing it. I can't help her because I really do have a bad back, and I just can't do it. I'm sorry. He keeps looking down. He or she, I can't tell. You have long hair, so I can't tell. But he keeps looking like I'm supposed to get out and help him. It's this filthy thing that is caught in a rut. Anyway, back to what I was saying. But, I kind of miss those days of politics where people were civil to each other. He or she did finally get that out. Can't tell if it's a man or a woman, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean, that kind of hippie long hair, which I just can't tell. I probably come across as this horrible person. I'm not. I try to describe people sometimes, and I can't tell. Some of the kids. There's this young boy who comes down, and I referred to him as she the other day because I thought it was a girl. He's got this beautiful hair, and he's got this handsome face. I mean, his face is like really, it looks like a girl. And then all his friends are kidding. So I said, hey, that was my mistake. He's a real handsome dude, and he's so handsome I thought he can't be one of you ugly guys. So I try to turn it around, but I think I should just keep my mouth shut from now on. Just say, hello, kids, and that's it. But anyway, I know this was kind of a goofy video, but I just wanted to jump on. I thought of my scientific experiment, and I wanted to share it with you. Anyway, I'll talk to you folks soon, and jump out and meet the kids. Take care. Have a great weekend. I hope it's a beautiful, beautiful weather where you are, and I'll talk to you on Monday, hopefully.